For today's headlines, Pacquiao raring to fight. Growth seen in PNR Clark rail project. Lady shot at home. PNP warns protesting anti-vax groups. Manila rescues street dwellers. Robredo urges Comelec extend voter registration. U.S. steps up deportation flights as migrants flood border. Good morning, I am Venice Bautista and this is Tribune News on Q. Today is September 20, 2021, and these are the latest news this Monday morning. Boxing icon and Senator Emmanuel Manny Pacquiao will run for president in the 2022 national elections after he formally accepted the nomination of his breakaway faction inside the ruling party Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan o PDP Laban. The Pacquiao-led faction endorsed the senator as its presidential candidate during its virtual and physical National Assembly held yesterday in Libis, Quezon City. Pacquiao, in accepting his nomination as a presidential candidate, asked for support as he prays for guidance from God. The lawmaker then chided his critics and said that he will use his experience in serving the poor, as the Manny Pacquiao of today was molded by poverty. He will run under an anti-corruption platform as he vowed to eradicate corruption in government, giving warning to the government officials who continue to exploit and rob our country that they will go to jail. Attended by over 10,000 grassroots members and PDP Laban officials both physically and virtually, the National Assembly was held weeks after the group led by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi reconvened for a national convention to formally introduce Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo and President Rodrigo Duterte as its standard bearers in the upcoming polls. Go, however, declined his nomination. Chairperson Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel, during his opening remarks, expressed optimism that Pacquiao may win in next year's elections. The 2022 May elections divided the ruling party into two warring factions, one led by Cusi and the other by Pimentel and Pacquiao. With none of the groups willing to back down, the Commission on Election will have to decide who truly owns PDP Laban. The Philippine National Railways or PNR Clark Phase 2 of the North-South Commuter Rail Project or NSCR project is expected to create needed jobs and spur economic recovery in Central Luzon. This was the statement made by Department of Transportation Secretary Art Tugade over the weekend, noting that a transport infrastructure project like the NSCR will benefit the provinces of Bulacan and Pampanga. Funded by the Asian Development Bank, the NSCR system is the single largest infrastructure project and the longest greenfield commuter railway project to be financed by the Japan International Cooperation Agency or JICA. The railway system is part of the Build program of President Duterte that has a total cost of 777.55 billion pesos. It is one of the key infrastructure railway projects supported by Japan, in addition to the Metro Manila Subway and the Metro Rail Transit Line 3 rehabilitation projects. The PNR Clark Phase 2 is a 53-kilometer rail line under the NSCR that will connect Malolos, Bulacan to Clark, Pampanga, Tugade said. He added that once operational, PNR Clark Phase 2 will improve transport connectivity and mobility across the Central Luzon region and spur various employment in various sectors. The Malolos to Clark Railway of the North-South Commuter Railway aims to cut travel time between Malolos, Bulacan and Clark, Pampanga from 1.5 to 2 hours to just 30 to 35 minutes. It also features the country's first ever airport railway express service, which will connect Makati to the Clark International Airport in just 55 minutes from the current 2 to 3 hours, Tugade said. PNR Clark Phase 2 will have 6 train stations, namely Kalumpit, Apalit, San Fernando, Angeles, Clark, and Clark Airport. The rail stations will include multimodal facilities that will allow seamless transfer of commuters from public utility vehicles to trains. The DOTR in all of its projects has always aimed to revitalize the country's economy. A transport infrastructure project like the NSCR will spur economic growth in Central Luzon, particularly the provinces of Bulacan and Pampanga, Tugade said. Hours after a lady doctor was shot by unknown assailants in her residence in Abra, another lady was shot by an unidentified gunman in her room in Barangay Budak, Tayum, Abra at around 9:30 p.m. September 19. The victim was identified as Eileen Daria, a fast food vendor. Tayum police recovered 3 spent shells of ammunition for caliber .45 pistol, and the victim sustained a gunshot wound in her lower back. She was rushed to the Abra Provincial Hospital in Banguet for treatment, and meanwhile, on the night of 18 September 2021, Dr. Amor Trinidad, in the related incident, was shot by still unidentified suspects at her residence in Barangay Poblacion, Pilar, Abra. She died from heart attack while being treated at the Abra Provincial Hospital. Tribune News on Q will be back after these short reminders.
Magpabakuna kayo.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Magandang araw mga katribo! Narito na ang mga makakasama nyo tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Roy Pelovelo, Comfy Manalo, Chinky Mangkukang, Vernon Velasco, Kim Sancha at Chirk Balagtas. Abangan ang programang Gising Na mula alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga sa Facebook page ng Daily Tribune.
Ilabas ng mainit na kape at samahan kami sa inyong pag-almusal, mga katribo.
Sama-sama natin alamin ang mga natatagong istorya sa mga latest na kaganapan sa loob at labas ng bansa.
Simulan ang bawat umaga with good vibes sa mga informative and recreational segments dito sa ating programa.
Maaari niyo rin ibahagi sa amin ang inyong opinion via Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now sa YouTube.
Makichika na rin sa latest showbiz happenings mga katribo.
Kaya naman, magkita-kita po tayo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga at magsama-sama po tayo sa
Gising Na!
Magpabakuna kayo.
We're back on Tribune News on Q. In other news, General Guillermo Eleazar, Philippine National Police Chief, yesterday warned individuals and groups who intend to hold any form of protest action to intentionally defy quarantine protocols may put at risk the public safety against COVID-19. While he stressed the PNP respects the belief of those who do not believe in COVID-19 or vaccination, he said they should respect the Filipinos who abide with minimum health and safety protocols to protect themselves from the virus. Holding a protest action to insist what you believe in does not make it right. It is but a plain and simple act of defiance and irresponsibility because PNP personnel and civilian population are at risk of being infected, Eleazar explained. A group recently held a protest activity at Liwasang Bonifacio in Manila to oppose the national government's vaccination program. Most of them did not wear masks to emphasize they do not believe in the coronavirus. He said the police will strictly monitor protest actions by anti-vaccine groups and individuals that would violate minimum public health standards. Local police chiefs were tasked to monitor possible mass actions wherein protesters will deliberately not wear masks and violate the health and safety protocols. The national government's vaccination program continues as vaccines have been continually arriving in the country, and it aims to increase the COVID-19 vaccination rate to 90% so the country could reach herd immunity early next year. Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Domagoso reported over the weekend the rescue of 11 street dwellers by Manila Department of Social Welfare, saying they were provided food, medical care, and a temporary place to stay in at the Rasak covered court. The city is in the middle of a frenzied construction program intended to put roofs over the heads of Manila residents with projects in Tondo and Binondo, among others. Also over the weekend, the personnel of the city's Department of Public Services, or DPS, led by Kenneth Amurao, continued their citywide general cleaning activity. Domagosa said that if people do general cleaning at home from time to time, it was only proper that the city itself undertakes a general cleaning of its streets and the bodies of water within its territory. The cleanup was intended to stop the spread of diseases, including COVID-19, as well as dengue carried by mosquitoes breeding on stagnant water. The DPS personnel conducted the cleanup along Baywalk, Rojas Boulevard, Basayco Beach, and at the creeks in 6 districts in Manila. Mayor Domagosa said no less than 62 tons of garbage and debris were hauled away by DPS workers in just a day. On the occasion of the International Coastal Cleanup Day, about 1,000 DPS workers were deployed in the waterways, desilting and unclogging. Vice President Leni Robredo yesterday joined the call for the Commission on Elections to extend voter registration by 1 month. In her weekly radio program, the Vice President called on the poll body to consider extending the voter registration as the country is facing extraordinary circumstances brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. Robredo expressed hope that the poll body will heed these calls as the September 30 deadline draws near. Last week, the Senate adopted a resolution urging the Comelec to move the voter registration deadline from September 30 to October 31, 2021. Comelec already announced in August it would not extend the voter registration. Instead, the poll body extended the registration hours from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. from Monday to Friday, and the voter registration on Saturdays and holidays will be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Comelec Commissioner Rowena Guanzon previously said the Comelec cannot extend the voter registration beyond the deadline as they have to finish the preparation of election precincts by October 2021. To date, 62 million registered voters will be going out in the streets to choose their new leaders on May 9, 2022. Tribune News on Q will be back. Stay with us.
It's time for the world to know. Outstanding Filipinos in America. The 11th Outstanding Filipinos in America Awards 2021. A salute to the heroes of coronavirus. Coming back live in person. Carnegie Hall in New York City, home of the TOFA Awards since 2011.
We're back on Tribune News on Q. For our world news, the United States said Saturday it would ramp up deportation flights for thousands of migrants who flooded into the Texas border city of Del Rio as authorities scramble to alleviate a crisis for President Joe Biden's administration. Homeland Security said it would secure additional transportation to accelerate the pace and increase the capacity of removal flights to Haiti and other destinations in the hemisphere within the next 72 hours. The statement also said the Biden administration was taking action to reduce crowding and improve conditions for migrants on U.S. soil, and working with source and U.S. transit countries in the region. The migrants who poured into the city, many of them Haitian, were being held in an area controlled by U.S. Customs and Border Protection beneath the Del Rio International Bridge, which carries traffic across the Rio Grande River into Mexico. Video footage showed the thousands of people under and around the bridge and more walking across the river, clutching their belongings. Del Rio Mayor Bruno Lozano told reporters there were over 14,000 migrants waiting to be detained. He added that both local and federal authorities were dispatching personnel, buses, and aircraft as part of the operation. The port of entry at Del Rio has been temporarily closed, and traffic is being rerouted to relieve the bottlenecks that had formed at the bridge. Border authorities have been overwhelmed by the number of migrants crossing from Mexico seeking admittance to the United States, as well as an influx of migrants from Afghanistan in the wake of the Taliban's takeover of that country. Political pressure had mounted on Biden to address the issue of immigration, with both Republicans and his fellow Democrats calling for quick action. Metro Manila Council Chairman and Parañaque City Mayor Edwin Olivares again reassured Capital Region citizens of aid in kind should they be affected of the so-called granular lockdown. In an interview over Daily Tribune online morning show Gising Na, Olivares reiterated that packed goods instead of money will be extended daily to them, wherein throughout the course of the more localized and precise quarantine, the first 7-day provision of ayuda will be covered by the local government, the next social welfare development.
Yes po, yan po yung isa po natin binibigyan po ng pansin dahil po kapag tayo nag-lockdown, lalo pa ngayon, hard lockdown po tayo. Hindi po natin papayagan na lumabas at pumasok yung pong ating pong mga residente on a particular na granular lockdown. Exempted lang po dyan yung ating mga health worker po natin, yung ating mga overseas worker po natin na inbound tsaka outbound, at yung mga emergency cases po natin sa medical na pwede lumabas. So ang naging usapan po dyan, dito po sa atin sa pagbibigay po ng ayuda, wala pong financial assistance na ibibigay po ang ating gobyerno. Ang ibibigay po natin dito ay food pack na ginagawa na po natin ngayon. Yung first 7 days po, ang magsushoulder po na yung ating LGU. At yung 7 days naman po, ay tutulungan po tayo ng DSWD para sa augmentation ng ating pong food pack. Kaya nga po, magsishare po yan. Pero wala pong financial assistance na ibibigay. Pero ulitin ko po sa inyo na itong ating lockdown net, hindi po malakihan po ito. Pwede rin po isang bahay, pwede po isang kalsada lang, isang sitio, depende po sa ating clustering. So hindi po siya malakihan na lockdown. Yes po.
The LGU in question will also determine the beneficiaries in their jurisdiction whose names it is required to post on social media for transparency. Those who have grievance can course their complaints to a designated Department of Interior and Local Government Help Desk. The government has been piloting a new framework which establishes a granular lockdown and alert level system. Since September 16, Metro Manila has been under alert level 4 until September 30. And that wraps up the stories this morning. Before we go, we would like to thank the SM Store, Araneta Center, Department of Tourism, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Venice Bautista, and you are watching Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good morning.
Catch the latest news on our website, tribune.net.ph, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its Community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our Community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.